Sometimes we have some problems that are very challenging and we don't know what to do. And one of the most important types of magic when it comes to things like problems is the magic of banishing and elimination. And when we banish or eliminate something with magic, what we're trying to do is create a vacuum. And then that vacuum can get filled up with something better, because nature abhors a vacuum. And so when we use any kind of banishing magic to eliminate or say no to or deny the existence of a problem in our life, what we're doing is creating space for something much better to come in its place. And this is a very common type of magic, this magic of elimination or banishing. Sometimes people have stubborn problems that they can't seem to banish. And there's a type of banishing magic that works really well, and it's used in all kinds of different spiritual practices and religious practices, and that is magical fasting, using the power of fasting to solve problems. Very difficult problems sometimes can be solved through the use of fasting. And I'm going to share with you how I use fasting magically today. The way I do it is very simple. What you do is you stop eating food, and you don't do it for so long that it's agonizing. Usually from 12 hours to 3 days. Now, I have fasted for 14 days before, something that I wouldn't recommend. It's something that I didn't really feel was beneficial to me. It was very agonizing, but I decided I wanted to do a 14-day fast. I made a commitment to doing a 14-day fast. I saw through the 14-day fast till the end, and I will never do a 14-day fast again. It was not fun. I didn't get any benefit out of it whatsoever, because when you are fasting, if it's agonizing, you're missing the point. The point of fasting isn't to sacrifice and to put yourself through hell. The point of fasting is to purify your body, to purify your mind and aura so that you can receive solutions to problems. Now, I had a magical teacher that liked us to fast for 12 hours prior to any kind of ritual that we came to. And her rule was that if there were any medical reasons whatsoever for you to not be able to fast, that you did not fast, and that you were to talk to your doctor before starting any kind of fasting. And I follow suit with that as well. I would recommend that you speak to your doctor before you try any kind of fasting, if there's any question in your mind whatsoever if fasting is right for you. Now, if you have a history of eating disorders, history of hypoglycemia, diabetes, anything like that, you need to talk to your doctor or your healthcare provider before doing any kind of fasting. Don't just do it on a whim. But for those of you that do not have any pre-existing health condition that would be a problem for you to do a fast, this is something you may consider trying, because it can be one of the most powerful things that you've ever tried, especially for overcoming difficult problems. I first was introduced into fasting, like I said, by a teacher who had us fast for 12 hours prior to coming to a ritual. But then I also had another teacher later on in my life that recommended that fasting was not only something that was good to clean the aura prior to ritual, but it was something that could be a magical act in and of itself, a type of spell that was very powerful for removing blocks and hindrances and problems in our life that didn't seem to have any solution. And that what her point of view was with fasting is that you dedicate your fast to a specific goal, that you keep your goal very clear. I want a goal. I don't just do a spell that's very open-ended. I want a very specific goal in mind, because it keeps me focused. And that's true for fasting as well as any other kind of spell. It's not something that I do on a very regular basis. I don't fast more than a few times a year, usually. I don't tend to drink anything but water when I'm fasting. I just abstain from food. Now, there are those of you who may want to try juice fasts and things like that. I just noticed that if I start drinking juice and things like that while I'm fasting, I tend to start to focus on the fast rather than the goal. My goal in fasting is to turn my attention away from food, turn my attention away from the distractions of my taste buds, and just get into cleansing my mind and body and aura and letting go of whatever problem is being worked on. And I just drink water. That's how I do it. I don't usually fast more than 24 hours. It's very rare. Now, if there's something that seems to be hanging on and it doesn't seem to be leaving my life and I need a little bit more oomph, then I might go for 48 or 72 hours with my fast. But that's very rare for me. Sometimes a 12-hour fast is all that I need. When I do my fast, I make sure that, like I said, that I start the fast out with a very clear intention, with a very clear goal in mind, an object of my desire. And I usually have some sort of prayer, incantation, or affirmation that I come up with for the duration of the fast, that I can continue bringing my mind back and focusing on that. Especially if I get hunger pangs or anything like that, I remind myself that I'm purifying, that those hunger pangs are a reminder that I am purifying myself of this issue. And then I go back to whatever that chant or that affirmation, that invocation, maybe a verse from a psalm, whatever it happens to be. Fasting is something that's been done since prehistoric times. There's all kinds of evidence that fasting has been part of religious and spiritual work for many aeons. Now, some of the ancient fasts, even the biblical fasts, they're very extreme. The idea of a 40-day fast is absolutely ridiculous as far as I'm concerned. I think we've come a long way since then, and we realize that it's not those kinds of extreme fasts that are helpful. The best kind of fasting is the one that doesn't pull you into agony, that doesn't pull you into a feeling of sacrifice, that doesn't pull you into having the fast itself be the star of the show. The fast is actually something that we do to eliminate problems in our lives, not create new problems in our lives. So the extreme kind of fasting that you read about from prehistoric times, or even these days when people go on extended periods of fasting, is not something that I participate in, and it's not something that I recommend. Something that you can do in a very short period of time is better. Hippocrates was big on fasting, and he said that you should fast up to even 7 days, but I think that's a bit extreme personally for me. Cleansing your body, cleansing your mind, cleansing your aura, and cleansing yourself of a problem is the point of fasting. And really focusing your mind on what your goal is while you're fasting is definitely the name of the game. I've known people that have had problems that they couldn't seem to get rid of. They've tried everything. They've tried rituals, they've tried spells, they've tried everything, and nothing would work. But when they went on a 24-hour fast and dedicated their mind and body to the solving of this problem, the problem did eliminate itself. Meditation and prayer, incantation, and fasting all together are very strong combinations to raise your vibrations and to change things and to refocus things so that you can, like I said before, eliminate very long-standing problems. Fasting is something that can overcome some very severe issues in life. It has been something that has really changed my life over the past several decades. And it's something that's very sacred and very special. The best way to approach a fast is to plan for it. I need to plan for it. I need to just say, okay, now how long am I going to fast? What's the function of this fast? What's it going to do? So that way I can not only look at maybe the moon phase, but also what's going on in my personal life. I don't want to start a fast when I've got a birthday party to go to. I don't want to start a fast right before Thanksgiving. I don't want to start a fast when I have to be in a place or time when food is going to be an issue, because then I have to make a show of it. I'd much rather have my fast be something that I do in private. I don't want people to even notice that I'm fasting. Sometimes I can fast for 24 hours and nobody will know. I don't make a big deal out of it. I don't want to draw attention to any kind of magic that I'm doing, especially not something as serious as fasting. So I usually will do my fast and nobody but me will notice. And that power of secrecy tends to give it even more oomph, give it more drive for me. I would recommend just starting out with 12 hours and focus your goal on what it is that you need to be eliminated, and then Have some sort of prayer, affirmation, incantation, or something that focuses your mind, and then stop eating and drink only water. And then when it's time to break your fast, you do it gently. You don't overeat. Now, since I don't fast for more than 24, maybe 72 hours, breaking my fast is not that big of a deal. The only thing I have to do to break my fast is to not overeat, is to make sure that I just go gently when I break my fast. I don't have to worry about a specific kind of diet. All I do is just gently reintroduce food back into my body. That's all there is to it. And I go about my regular business after the fast, and I keep track of the problem being eliminated. And it's almost always like clockwork. That problem is eliminated very easily, very quickly, very efficiently, and I don't have to think about it anymore. That's how I do fasting. Very simply, never extremely, and never with any kind of fad, or I don't search on the internet and find out what everybody's doing with fasting. I keep away from all of that. I just stick with the basics. I stop eating. I continue drinking water for a specific amount of time for a specific goal. And when that specific amount of time has ended, I reintroduce my normal food intake slowly and gently into my body. And that's it. That's how I do my fasting. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you. Until next time, blessed be.